Hello, everybody. You were not kidding. I totally forgot how vile those sound effects can be until I was like, oh, yeah, it does get like, I mean, it's like, oh, man. When woo!
Never doubt me, Dave. Never doubt me.
I think it was just more amplified because I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, Scott's right. It does sound just What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Batman the Fan-imated stream. I'm Dave, of course. With me as always is Scott. How you doing, Scott?
White girl drunk.
There you go. Let's get that white girl wasted going. Thank you guys for clicking in. Yes, we'll be talking about, of course, Feet of Clay Part 2, which part 1 and 2 just so good. I mean, the way that it ended last week, and then the way that it continues on this week, and just getting to know Clayface now, and getting to getting more of his origin, and then seeing his powers at work. And I mean, I'm really thinking that they were just like, yeah, like I was saying, it's like, around T1000 time, because there's just so much there when it comes to like the changing and all the stuff that he can do. I'm like, they had to.
Definitely. And I paid attention to the credits this time. So this episode was done by, at the time, what was called Tokyo Movie Shinsha Company. It's the TMS animation company. This is the same animation studio that did Akira.
Okay. That's cool.
So, I mean, we're talking like
It's better. It's noticeable. Yeah.
Oh, it's so noticeable. So you get these kind of people who do these classic animes, and you get them to do the morphing effects for Clayface. Oh, this thing was gorgeous.
It really was. It really was. And even though, and I think even though we kind of like, when you think about the sound effects and you kind of go, oh, it still works. It just works. I mean, it's clay, it's mud, it's something. I mean, it's
squishy and liquidy, and
nobody likes it. I mean,
because something I noticed overall, because you know how last week I had the revelation that last week's episode was written by Marv Wolfman.
Yeah.
This episode, because the story for part 1 and part 2 was co-plotted between Marv Wolfman and Michael Reeves. Mm-hmm. And Michael Reeves wrote this episode.
Okay.
I noticed that while we talked a lot about like the intricacies and the dialogue and the character work in part 1 with Marv Wolfman writing it, I noticed that tonight's episode was much more action heavy, less on the dialogue, less on the story. It was more about the amazing action, which is why having TMS doing the animation was so important, because if the action doesn't pay off in this episode, this episode didn't worry about the writing as much as it just worried about the set pieces.
Yet it's still, it still had that dramatic element in that sadness that, it still has it. And the way that it wraps up too, which that's going to be the clip we're going to watch, because I really was going, oh yeah, that's how Batman defeated Clayface. And that's right. I forgot exactly how he did it. And then, of course, as you watch and you go, oh yeah. Oh no.
This was one of those episodes, man, that like I'm watching it going on, like I'm like following on. Oh, that happens. That. Oh yeah. This is one of those episodes that I realized, wow, I do remember every beat of this episode.
And then you're watching it too. I mean, it's got a horror element to it.
Oh, dude, I want to talk about the horror movie. The horror movie vibe this entire episode, and the ending.
Dude, that's like Thriller Michael Jackson looking at it with the eyes and stuff. And I was like, which used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid.
It still did. I got to see it a couple of years ago. Remember when that Jack Black movie came out, House with a Clock on the Walls?
Yeah.
If you saw it in an IMAX 3D, the special bonus treat was that you got to see Thriller in IMAX 3D.
Oh, wow.
Before the movie. And the joke was, I came for the Thriller video, I stayed for the movie.
That's pretty good. Yeah, man, that you can ask my mom. I thought Michael Jackson was a werewolf. I did. I was like, that guy's a werewolf. I see it. Don't tickle him. He's a werewolf. Don't touch him, guys. That I was so freaked out about that, even though I like the song, of course, but
the Vincent Price narration. So you get that with this episode, like the Shirley Walker score, because you get the hey Andre, you get the sad lamenting, what I almost call like the tragic Hagen theme.
Yeah.
And But then you also get like that the Clayface like monster music.
Yeah. So it's a good balance of like when he is the monster and just trying to mess up Batman or trying to get Daggett, you have that level to it, which has that, like you said, a monster thing. But then when it gets reminded of who he once was and all this, you get that sad score, which is just really cool. What's going on, Jose? What's going on? But yeah, and then we also left off too with Bruce Wayne getting locked up. So that's how this episode starts, is with the mugshots of Bruce Wayne. And poor Bruce, but you know, he's fine. He walks out even with his suit on. He didn't even walk out with that turtleneck. He walked out with his normal suit.
The brown suit, yeah. With his lawyer, right to his car.
Yeah.
Alfred in his spiffy little "I'm driving the limo" outfit.
Exactly. I know, right? Oh man, he needs to modernize that. And then Bruce is just like, he just got out of jail, but he's like, I gotta figure this out. So he's already just got Alfred's got his case back there. He starts putting on the bat costume.
I love the fact the costume's in a briefcase. Like,
yes.
And there's even like a little like closet rack in the suitcase, so it doesn't get wrinkled.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to have a wrinkled bat suit, folks. I mean, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right when you're fighting crime. But you know what's funny, because he has to like figure that out, and then it was just kind of funny when they go, to a dark alley. There's nobody around, and it is kind of funny because Batman is literally in the back of this car. So anybody could be like, what? I don't know if maybe the windows are probably tinted.
They've got to be tinted.
Got to be tinted.
And you notice when Alfred slowed down, it was like really dark and shadowy, and Batman just like really quickly
zoomed out
of the car, and then Alfred just drives off. It
was funny because I just kind of started laughing because he just does this like little Dracula, just like whooshes out of the car right there, right into the shadows. And I'm like, yep. I mean, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do right there. So, and then we catch up, of course, with Hagen, who is talking to his stand-in. Do you ever figure out what his name was? Teddy. There you go. That's right. Because he does say it.
I forgot who mentioned it last week, but when we talked about the fact that we were watching Feet of Clay Part 1, a Twitter follower, forgive me, I can't remember which one suggested it. Do you think that there is I cannot take any credit for this because someone put this bug in my ear. I didn't see it in Part 1, but I did see it in Part 2. Do you think possibly Teddy and Hagen had a relationship?
Ooh, didn't quite think about it like that. I mean, there's a possibility if you wanted to look at it. I mean, he was always concerned about him. He was always looking after him. There's always a possibility. Yeah. I mean, that was, I mean, you think of somebody like, like if you want to go to like a classic actor, I mean, like someone like Rock, what's his name? Rock
Hudson.
Hudson. There you go. Wasn't he closeted?
Oh, right? No, absolutely. Yeah. Everyone thought he was like Doris, and Doris Day. And it was like, no, he was gay. Yeah. And so I never thought about that. I know that the series has done that. I know later on with Superman, the animated series, they did a really subtle hint at Maggie Sawyer in that series. And I didn't notice in Part 1, but in Part 2, when Teddy, like when Hagen starts learning how he can control his shape shifting, he like runs up and like grabs his arm, like, you can be Hagen again. And, like, he seemed really like physical and affectionate. And then later on, he like is fixing him dinner. And it's just there was some domestic moments there that like I didn't
really think about that. Yeah, you're right.
Think about it,
especially when
it wasn't in Part 1, but in Part 2, I'm like, I like the theory. Yeah, I can see it.
No, it works. It works. There's possibility. I mean, and then because we're kind of, I mean, we're seeing this guy who's like basically had an overdose, and then he's had a metamorphosis after this overdose. So it's like seeing from Teddy's eyes, man, that's got to be just heartbreaking, especially if you look at it from that sense that they had an intimate relationship. That actually adds a little more level to it, and especially Teddy's character. So I actually do dig that. I do dig that a lot. And but yeah, so well, before it's kind of weird because it quickly goes over to Hagen. We have like one little shot where he just basically saying his life's over. Then we go to Daggett, and then Daggett is talking to Germs, right? That's what his name was?
Germs. Well, and I loved it how this is the first. Okay, so in part one, his name is Germs, and one time you see him take out his handkerchief to turn a doorknob,
but that's really.
This episode, you get. I mean, I love the shot, especially the way it's animated. How on the push bars, and he like really drapes the handkerchief over to push the bar, and then later when Daggett tells him he's got to go to the hospital to off Lucius, and he's like, "Well, the hospital, all those." Sick people.
Yeah, they really emphasize his germophobia in here, and then even Batman exposes it and uses it. It's so good. It's so good.
I can't wait to talk about that. That is like one of my all-time like top 10 favorite scenes in the entire series is when he's interrogating Germs.
Oh, man,
we got to talk about that when we get there.
We'll get to it. And so. Yeah, he's talking to him about it, of course, talking to Germs, like, because you got to get rid of Fox, because Fox is gonna, say something or whatever. Everybody knows that Fox is gonna be the target of Daggett for sure. But then we go back to Daggett, and then we actually get a little bit of a flashback. We find out when Hagen gets the cream from Daggett, basically becomes like his test dummy or whatever. So there's like a flashback after Hagen's accident where Daggett shows up, hands him the cream and blah, 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 and says it's going to change you and blah, blah, blah. And so we get a little bit of an origin story when it comes to that. And then
I like how they put the little sepia filter, like they color it to make it very
they do that
sort of.
Yeah,
that's. Because we talked about that with It's Never Too Late. They did the same thing to indicate the flashback. They put that sort of sepia gloss over it. So.
Yeah, I think even Pretty Poison, the opening was like that a little. Maybe not as much, but there was like a little. I thought there was a little bit of filler because then then it jumps to present day like
there was. I couldn't remember if it was. Yeah, it was. It had the same sepia. So they do have a sort of a color.
It's a.
It's a color code that like when we do flashbacks, we're gonna do them in sepia.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Okay. They definitely know. And then so then Hagen's feeling sorry for himself, and then Teddy's telling him like how great he once was. Well, basically he's trying to cheer him up, and he's making some good points because he said that after his accident he had his best roles ever, and then we see him all on the wall, and then that's where he realizes like he's his head. That's got to be shocking for Teddy.
Yes.
First off, you got this big mud monster guy. And then all of a sudden, when he's walking through talking about the roles and look at the roles, like his head is, and you actually see it on Teddy's face too, where he's just like, oh my God, like your head, like it was just changing with each one he was looking at. And it was a pretty cool little effect here. I really dug that.
The only thing about this scene is, dude, I was like, exposition alert. Like it was so exposition. It's like a muscle. Like it was like, okay, this is the one time you're like, you're a kid's show because man, you are like this is when exposition is bad. It's like literally when they're explaining to me what I'm watching. Like, yes, I can see these things. I know you don't have to tell me. And the show doesn't do it that often. But
it doesn't do it that often, but I think they probably needed it with like, how could a man turn into this? So they were just like, we got to explain it. I mean, he literally goes, the cream must have soaked every cell in my body. And it's like, all right. I mean, I guess that does make sense. Yeah, you're right. There's like a big exposition dump, and then all of a sudden he realizes he can't like hold it for long, gets upset, and then there's like, it's basically just like you learn that okay, he could hold it for a bit but can't hold it for long, and then it's just the whole muscle thing. But he pretty much nails it pretty quickly, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I think the point is that he's not trying to, as we later see, he's not trying to hold one shape for an extended period of time. Like the whole experiment there in his trailer was, could he make himself look like Hagen?
Yeah. And that's what Teddy was hoping. Teddy was hoping like, hey, you could be yourself again. Look, you're doing it, but he can't to hold the shape. I mean, we find out even later that it wears him out. Like he can't, that takes a lot of concentration and a lot of strength for him to stay like that. Yeah, he could throw little things here and turn his arms into whatever, but he can't. But trying to hold down like a character for, well, yeah, it's kind of like how the cream only lasted 24 hours. I guess you could say that he can only hold a certain kind of shape for way less than that. That's for damn sure. So yeah, we get that, and like you said, it definitely was a dump like that, an exposition dump. And so then they go to the hospital because they know that
everyone knows. Everybody knows. Hagen knows.
Yes. Bruce,
Batman knows, everyone knows somebody's coming for Fox.
Somebody's coming for Fox. So then he does, and then he just changes right into like a doctor and walks right in. And then of course we have Germs in there, who's just, I love how like when he gets into the room, it's just a pillow right there. It's almost like the nurse just left the pillow right there, just in case somebody wanted to suffocate him. Let's just leave that pillow right there on the chair.
No, and that was weird watching it again, going kid show. And not only that, you're getting like the POV from Fox. Yes. Like you see the pillow coming at you, and you're just
how many parents were asked, what was he doing, mom or dad? Like, oh, he was gonna, just hold the pillow over his face till he'd stop moving. That's what he was gonna do. Suffocate. That's all. That's it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Luckily, Batman intervenes with a nice little Bat Ninja star. And that was cool. Of course, you knew something was gonna happen with that. And then this is where it just gets interesting, because then Germs just like books it out of there and then ends up in a lab with a bunch of infectious diseases in bottles, just stuff everywhere. Just the worst place any germaphobe would ever want to be. That's like his worst nightmare.
Oh God. And Batman just walks in behind him. And this whole scene, like I said, top 10 moment for me.
Yeah.
Batman grabs a random jar, looks at it and just goes, Crimson Fever. Lousy way to go. And just, he's already got him backed up against the wall, puts the jar on the shelf above his head.
Yeah.
And then it's like, talk.
Yeah.
And it's that wonderful kind of Batman interrogation, intimidation, where, he gets a bullshit answer and he punches the wall to rattle the jar.
God, it's so good.
It's so good. And Germs is just
freaking out.
He's losing shit, man.
Freaking out. And yeah, Batman is just like not having it, because he wants to know who was impersonating him. Who set up Bruce Wayne. Of course, he didn't say who said it. But yeah, just the way that he does that. And trying to get out, and then all of a sudden a security guard comes in, and not exactly a security guard, but he walks in, and then it's funny too, because then he hits the wall just one last time, and the jar falls, but then he just catches it real quick, and it's like awesome. Come on.
No, and if you read the label, it's seawater for analysis.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yes, it wasn't. Batman wasn't going to actually hurt the guy.
That's Batman. Of course, that's Batman. Of course, he wouldn't actually do that. So of course he would talk about a mind fuck right there.
I know. It's that's why that scene from The Dark Knight, when Christian Bale's Batman is interrogating Maroni, and he's like, "We know the deal about you. 4 flights, that won't kill me. It's not supposed to." And it still just drops him and it's that kind of stuff. Like, oh, I'm not gonna kill you, but I'm gonna you up.
Yeah, your ankles are gonna be gone, but that's pretty much it, man. Oh man, even that scene when you hear like you hear the popping, and you're like, oh, that's, even though you don't see anything happen, it's still like painful. Painful to hear that. So yeah, so the security guard walks in, and of course we know it's Hagen, and sure enough, he reveals that it is, because he just he extends his arm and just basically
and that shot of like this super long arm, like that's just so weird when you see his arm completely extended, holding up against the wall, because you follow Batman, and then they cut back to show you like the 4 foot long arm, and it's just such an amazing shot.
So good. And then just to make matters worse for Germs, what does Hagen do? He pulls a piece of his face off
his cheek. He's like,
and then just puts it over his mouth. And I'm like, I'm like, he's just gonna have nightmares for the rest of his life. He's in a literal nightmare because now he's got this monster that that has shown up after he's like being threatened with all these infectious diseases. And so yeah, he's poor Germs, but then again, he's a bad person, so
he's a very bad person.
He deserves it. So then they go to the rooftop. And again, I mean, just to even make things matters worse, it's like, yeah, Germ's about to get thrown off the roof now. About to get thrown off the roof. And just before that happens, you know, of course, Batman intervenes. I forgot how he intervened, man.
He throws a batarang with a cable and jerks Germs out of his arms.
That's right. That's right.
Because that's when we get the really awesome shot of Batman jumps up in the air, like so like this is where you get like the cool things where he's like he's got the long arm, he's got like the metal claw that was totally the T-1000 look.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Yeah, and because that's when he extends it over, and the Batman jumps up. He does a really cool thing where he like karate kicks him right in his chest and gets
stuck. Yeah, gets stuck, and it's just like, yeah, this is a whole new thing you're going to be having to deal with here, Batman. I mean, jeez. And then there's like that shot too where he mimics his face. Like, like forms like, but it's not fully, it's just like in clay form. And Batman's like, what in the heaven or something like that. I forget, he said something clean.
Yeah. What does he say?
He says what in the heaven or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And it's just because Clayface is having like one of those reflexes.
Yeah. Where he just looks at Batman and it just forms. And I think that's that's something that comes into play later because Batman realizes that too. Because it just reflects
what in the name of heaven. That's what
there you go. What in the name of heaven? That's what he says. There you go. Of course, guy, he's not a potty mouth. Not this Batman, just Snyder's. No, but so yeah, they have a good fight. And of course, we're seeing a lot of what Clayface is capable of, just making like, blades and claw, anything he can, a hammer, whatever he wants to do. But then we realize that, yeah, it does tire him out. And even Batman points that out. I think it's a little bit, it's like, all right, we got it, Batman. But he had to say it out loud just to let the audience know, like, oh, all that changing is, tiring you out or something like that. He says something along those lines.
Yeah, and then of course the whole time we get that beautiful like blood red Gotham sky behind them while they're fighting. Yeah. But then he like does that thing where he like throws him across the roof, and there's that cool shot where like Batman's like fingertips are like scraping across the surface right before he
things like that.
I know, like right before he goes over and he holds on, and then Hagen's like does like the weird like lobster like crab claw thing.
I'm like, again, this is a fucking horror movie. I mean, that is creepy shit. I mean, not the claw thing, the metal claw and the hammer were one thing, but then all of a sudden he's just like boom, 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 and I'm like, that's creepy. That is really freaky right there. Now you're just gonna form crab claw hands. What the hell?
Well, and then of course, when he says, oh, that really tires you out. And then Hagen takes a header off the roof and just like goes free fall and goes splat.
Yeah, but Batman being Batman goes, hey, what the hell? And he throws, battering with the rope on it to try to like get him. It's like that. First off, like, kudos on you, Batman. We know you're strong, but geez. And then it just, of course, goes right through him, and he just splats on the ground. And then Batman, there's like a shot of Batman who's like freaked out. I mean, it's like a horror movie shot, like it's all tilted, and he's just like, it's like, and the music goes with it because it's just like, what? Did we just witness somebody, just fall, splat onto the ground like that? But of course, no, he's fine.
And then it's like that.
Yeah,
and he literally drains himself down the sewer, and his face like turns around to go.
Yeah. Oh my god, man.
Pennywise from It, like looking up as like floods down. Like Clayface gave me some nightmares as a 10-year-old. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, again, it's just like some of the stuff on here you're watching as an adult. You're like, yeah, that is creepy. That is very creepy.
And then as Batman leaves, Germs is like, I swear, Germs just totally like peed and shit his pants. Like he's like,
Germs is going to Arkham because he's lost his mind. Like I said, the last like 10 to 12 minutes of his life were the most it just really just messed up his brain big time. Infectious diseases, Batman.
That was the most horrific thing.
Oh man.
That's like everything that could possibly go wrong in his life. It just
he's going to be in a padded room. He's going to be in a padded room for a little bit. I think he's going to lose it. And then we cut to, of course, back with Clayface and Teddy, and basically, yeah, it's just he's watching TV. He knows exactly. Okay, so there's going to be a broadcast. Summer Gleason's going to have Daggett on her show talking about his cream that, of course, that Hagen, of course, turned into. And so this is where we go back to, he's just sitting there on a chair watching TV. And then like Teddy comes in with like almost like a full turkey that looks like on that plate or something like that.
It's a mashed potatoes with gravy. And
I'm like, I mean, I guess he would have a bigger appetite, but then Clayface kind of loses it and says, he doesn't need sleep. I don't need food. And then he just throws Teddy up against a bookshelf. Poor guy. So I don't know.
And I don't need you.
Yeah, that's got to be heartbreaking, especially if you look at it in the lens of they had an intimate relationship, man. And I'm actually really liking that theory. Actually.
I think
I think they were trying to go for that, to be honest, because why would he be there and why would he be making him food like that while he's sitting on the chair watching the news? It's like they kind of really they throw that right there, that little undertone right there. But so yeah, we got that, and then. So he's going to make his appearance. And this is where, it's funny too, because I completely forgot about this part. And then it started going, oh yeah, that's right. Because I was going, where does this go again? I forgot exactly how I was thinking about it. And then I went, oh yeah, it goes to Summer Gleason's show. And then of course,
which by the way, cool DC Easter egg. The studio she works for, Galaxy Broadcasting.
Okay.
Which in the 70s, that's Morgan Edge. That's how Morgan Edge takes over the Daily Planet. Is Galaxy Broadcasting buys the Daily Planet. It was kind of their beginning of the idea of big corporations buying up the media and the effects it would have. So it was kind of cool to go Galaxy Broadcasting. That's That's a cool DC Easter egg.
I like it. I mean, that's a little bit a harder one than, a lot of people aren't going to spot that. So that's a good catch right there. I mean, sometimes it's in your face. Like when you see a list and it just says Star Labs, you go, oh yeah, it said Star Labs on the computer. Cool. And a lot of people we all just go, yeah, there's a Star Labs in this universe. But yeah, that's pretty cool right there. I like that. So then of course we're back at the Batcave with Batman and Alfred, and Batman's just figuring it out. He pretty much just figured out that it's Hagen. Batman's doing Batman things, essentially just realizing who Clayface is. And
Alfred walks in with a stack of VHS tapes.
Yes.
Like, that's the one thing. It's like, wow, that's gonna
VHS tapes. Yes,
this is gonna date this episode quite a bit.
Yeah, because he requested to get all of Hagen's movies, so that's what Alfred got, and then. And then, oh man, this is the moment where we're at the broadcast and Batman, not Bruce, Batman dressed up in a janitor's uniform.
Yes.
I you have to laugh because, usually when this happens, it's like, usually it's Bruce. I mean, obviously, but it's literally Batman with a cowl and everything on with a hat on. And he's just like pushing the cart. And it's like, man, anybody sees you, they're gonna realize it's you, bud.
But also, I also thought it was really interesting. He's rolling the cart through the control room, putting the VHS tapes into the different parts. I'm like, okay,
yeah, you don't need to roll anymore.
You don't need to roll. You don't need to roll the cart anymore.
Just keep it by the door. Just keep it by the door, man. Nobody's in there. Nobody's in there, which is another weird thing. Why nobody's in there? That's also weird. But you don't need to keep on rolling the thing. So up. Okay, so he clarified Clayface. Thank you, Clayface. Now, I don't know, but we're gonna go with it on this one. Yeah, we both take a drink. We'll take that Kermit the Frog sip. Anyway, but yeah, that was pretty funny. I just was laughing. I'm like, yeah, he really just all right, whatever works, whatever never gets the job done.
I still love the fact that when Summer Gleason goes for questions and Hagen as the big obnoxious woman in the audience is like literally like waving her arms like, I have heard some questions. I've heard some rumors that I wonder if you'd be willing to address.
Yeah. She just totally gives it to him too, saying that the reason why the stores and drugstores aren't holding is because of this dangerous side effects. And then Daggett is all getting like, he does that whole loosen up the collar because it's getting hot in here kind of thing. And that's when you realize, oh wait, this is Hagen, of course, naturally, and he just starts, and then she just starts pushing people away, and everybody's like, what in the hell? And then all of a sudden, once you tell them what it did to me or something, he says something along the line.
Why don't you show, why do you want to tell them about the dangerous side effects?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them about me?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the voice does that cool flip from the lady voice to Ron Perlman's voice right before he changes. And it's so good.
Really good. And it's cool too, because going back to the previous episode and talking about addiction and whatnot, that's what she starts talking about, how addicted people can get on this stuff, and just totally just grilling and saying like those kind of dangerous side effects from the cream. So it was kind of cool that he was totally, I mean, you're almost going, it's almost justified. You're almost like, just let him. Daggett was like literally tried to kill him many times. He tried to kill him. He was persuading him with the cream, first off, and he knew it was like a drug to him. We saw that in the first part. And now he's approaching him and literally letting him know and letting people know that do not buy this product because I got addicted severely to it. So you kind of just go, Batman, sit this one out. let him.
Let these two hash it out. It's fine.
I don't know. I think Daggett's a pretty bad person here.
We almost had the same idea when we talked about Two-Face and Rupert Thorne. It's like, how about you two just take each other out?
It almost seems like Batman's always like, when it comes to it is kind of funny to think about that too, because it's like Batman's like the moderator between two bad guys, and it's like when you're looking at it from a different perspective, you're kind of going like, well, I mean, do you really need to intervene? Just let them do their thing, and whoever comes out alive, get that guy.
Yeah.
Go after that guy. But I mean, we get it. You got your code and whatnot, and we understand that. We understand that, Batman. So then, of course, Batman swoops in, and he does like a cool little, he swoops in and nails him, and where it leaves like an actual dent on his back, like when he's on the ground.
It was his shoulder. It was his shoulder arm area, because he knew he was going to impact into him, but he impacted so he could push himself back off. It's like he learned his lesson so he wouldn't get his leg stuck like last time.
Yeah, and then of course, even before that, I forgot, there was some henchmen guys, some Daggett guys that pull out guns, and then Clayface he's totally mastered everything and throws a couple little clay balls, hits the freaking guns, and then they're screwed. And then of course that happens, and then Daggett tries to run off, and Batman's like, no, you don't. Gets him by the legs with his batarang, and make sure he doesn't get out there. But then of course we get another little fight when it comes to these two, and it was kind of funny because I totally forgot, and then of course it came back. It's like Clayface turns literally into a ball.
Yes,
that Batman, and I was like, that's pretty cool. But of course, Batman gets out, and then he just goes right through the door. So then again, the horror element starts coming through, because now you're going down a hallway, you're not knowing what's happening, and then of course you pass that fucking vent, and then what appears out of there, just oh man, that sound it starts pouring out of that little vent, and it just starts forming, and it's just the horror elements, man, totally digging it on this one.
Well, then Batman runs into the room without an exit, with the one exit, and you're like, okay, so what's the plan? How are you going to handle this? And I love how he starts hitting he tries to talk him out of it first. And then when he realizes that doesn't work, it's like Batman gives him the opportunity to stand down. And then that's when he starts hitting all the play buttons and starts showing him these frozen images of his different roles, trying to basically talk the humanity back into him. But then that's when he kind of starts.
Oh, dude. that's the scene that I wanted to play right here, because it's freaky. It's kind of, it's almost T1000 definitely. And yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a good scene because you're wondering when he gets in that control room, that broadcast room, what is he exactly doing? He's popping in the tapes, and you're kind of going, okay. And then you realize, oh, okay, so the only way to defeat this guy is to just really go like, hey, remember who you are, man. Remember who you are. And that's what he does right here. And it's a good scene. It's a good scene. So there it is.
Oh, like the arm, like the middle of his chest. Oh.
And then he starts suffocating Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Keeps on throwing him at him. Whoop. Gotta sell that breath, Conroy. See, there's that score.
Oh, yes.
Right back to it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hit the keys that mean nothing.
Exactly.
It's just colorful.
And we'll toggle switch. I always love how there's like the different color backgrounds for every different, character.
But the same pose.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Look at what you used to be.
Yes.
No. Turn them off. You can play those roles again, Hagen. Let me help you find a cure.
See, that's something I love about the animated series version of Batman, is he's trying to save the villains.
Yes, he's not trying to put them away necessarily. I mean, yes, he'll put them away, but he wants to help. But look at this, like. I mean,
what gets freakier is when the mix and matching starts happening.
Yeah, it's like that. Oh my God. And then, of course, Perlman selling it. So good. And Batman's like, what the hell? What do I do? And then he gets in like to this like weird part where he's kind of human, kind of Clayface.
Yeah.
It's really, he just... And then the cops are like, huh? Man.
Like, okay, I always wondered, like, why the random Bruce Wayne image?
Because they had to, like, it had to show the cops that, like, oh. So then when they tell them, like, hey, he pretended to be Bruce Wayne, the cops can be like, oh, yeah, we saw it. I think it was a little bit of that. Look at that.
But when we know later on that Clayface is faking this, like, because he knows he's not dying, I almost wonder if he was trying to let Bruce Wayne off because it was part of Hagen's plan, and that was like the last like F you to Hagen. I mean, the last F you to Daggett was, I'm gonna let Bruce Wayne like get off scot-free.
Could be.
I wonder if that was part of that.
Could be where he was just like, he focusing on him when he saw the cops. He's like, it was me, and maybe that's why he did that. Yeah, could be that. But I like what he had to say right there. It was like that about the dying scene, like that was him, like his best dying scene or whatever.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which does play in later because like I said, we're all assuming that he got electrocuted and whatnot. And then of course the next scene is Lucius Fox just relieved that it wasn't Bruce. So Bruce is of course gets off scot-free, and then Batman's still doing experiments with some leftover clay, showing that electricity, when it's put into it, it doesn't die off or nothing happens. Pretty much electricity is not doing much, but just helping it out. I don't know.
Or it's stimulating it, but it's not having any, like, it's not killing it.
No, not killing him. So then that's where Bruce is like, yeah, he probably just put on like his best performance right there. And sure enough, when we go back to the morgue, it's just a shell and it just crumbles and that's it. And then I love how Bruce is just pretty much saying like he gave his best performance right there, just going back to the whole acting thing. It's like he gave his best performance by in front of everybody that he died. And then it was just like, whoop, nope, just kidding. Sorry.
And then Teddy, oh, and that's another thing that plays into that nice little theory, is that Teddy is just like, bye, Matt, like outside the hospital where the morgue is. And then you see that lady and just starts going,
yeah, we gotta play it. We gotta play it because it's just so creepy. It's like,
oh my God, my note said that ending is creepy AF. That's
See you around, Matt.
Aw. And then you just know, you're like, oh
That
yeah.
seems so real.
That seems so real.
Fooled us all.
Oh, and that music.
Yep. And then the eyes. It's just those dead clay eyes.
And the Ron Perlman voice kicking in.
Oh man.
And that's what the episode ends on.
Oh man. Whew, man. Again, kids show, but yeah, man. This is just a good two-parter. Because when it came to the Two-Face one, the second part a little weak. We expressed how it was a little weak.
Well, that's weird though, is because it's weak in terms of writing, but this episode was meant to showcase the Clayface action.
Weak. Yeah, this one's not. I was talking about part 2 of Two-Faces.
Two-Face. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Yeah, part 2 of Two-Face was weak. Writing and the writing and the animation was weak. This one strong overall, made up for by the fact that the better animations in part 2.
Yeah, and
it relied more on the action than the story in part 2, which is fine. I don't mind two-parters where one's all the story and the other one's all the punch them up.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's actually a good way to divide out a two-parter.
It really is, because you have to establish, especially when you're establishing a character like this, and they did an excellent job by establishing it, and then that cliffhanger at the end, and then it's like, all right, now we got to show what this guy is going to be capable of, this character, and we're going to see him again, later on. We got to establish it right here. So yeah, it's a good balance. It's a good balance of not everything has to be actiony, super actiony. I mean, yes, it's a Batman show, so you have to have a little bit of it, but it's like, hey, just stay tuned, folks, because the next episode, it's gonna get action packed, and it did, and this was great. So, anything else you want to add to the episode?
That's just
yeah.
I mean, just this is top 10. We talked about how Beware the Gray Ghost was top 5.
Yeah.
The same conversation can be had for Feet of Clay. If you consider the two-parter as one, it maybe, if it's not top 5, it's definitely top. I mean, it is no question top 10.
Yes, for sure. And what do we got next week?
Joker's Favor.
First Favor
of Harley Quinn.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, great episode. I think it's funny. I think somebody was actually watching this. I think I was somewhere and this was actually playing. Was that the barbecue I was at? Maybe, I don't know. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe I was dreaming.
Hey, I'm going to go ahead and give you, I know how you love how I do my voices thing.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and give you a weird little connection.
Okay.
So remember when I blew your mind last week with who the voice of Germs was?
Yeah. Who was it again?
Ed Begley Jr.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Who's the schmuck that Joker gets the favor from in Joker's Favor? Ed Begley Jr.
Damn. I didn't know he was all through this one. That's cool.
He is. So basically, we have 3 weeks in a row
of Ed Begley
Jr.
Interesting. They must have just got him and were like, hey, can you do another one?
Well, and if you think about the fact that production order, we got 3 episodes in a row.
They're like, we have you. Can we just we have this next episode? You'll be more of a predominant character. Can you do it? And I guess they got him to do it. That's pretty cool. It's a great episode.
Think about it, because as Germs, he's kind of got that. He kind of talks up here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Almost a little
sick people.
All the sick people.
I don't want to be infected.
And then he's definitely doesn't sound like that at all with the character that he plays in Joker's Favor.
No, and up until this Joker episode, we haven't had strong Joker. I mean, it's been. I mean, we kind of were a little. I always love the April Fool's one just because of that music. Yeah, it's cheesy as hell, but there's just something about just that music, and I just really loved that episode when I was a kid. So.
And then for me, I always had an attachment to Christmas with the Joker, but no, we really Joker hasn't been
that, but this one, it's I'm trying to remember as much, but I mean, we got Harley Quinn, which is great. So it is an iconic episode.
Well, here's the difference. This episode is going to be written by Paul Dini.
Ah, see, there you go.
There's the difference. The people who wrote the other episodes were like those people that we like we don't know who they are ever again. But but when we get to Joker's Favor, we get our first scripted Paul Dini episode.
So there you go. That's just why we get an improvement right here.
Yes.
It's a little improvement. So there you go. Joker's Favor is going to be the one we'll be discussing next week. So make sure you guys watch it. And then be here next week at the same junkie time, same bat channel, all that stuff. And we appreciate it. Go ahead and plug yourself, Scott.
Of course, you can find me on Twitter at ScottDC27. You can find my newly revamped podcast, the DC Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. Of course, we're on Vero, Facebook, YouTube, the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com every Saturday with this knucklehead talking Batman. So you know what? And with Dune coming out in like 3 weeks, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, my DMs have been blowing up. You're going to be sick of me talking about Dune. That's all I'm gonna have to say. So that'll be coming towards the end of the month.
Yes, God, man, it's getting well. Obviously, we knew it was going to be getting great reviews, but the fact that it's actually doing pretty decent in the box office, and
the international box office is like it's like exceeding expectations.
Yes, which is thank God. So I think they're already looking at that and going, okay, you're gonna get your sequel. I think we're good.
Oh my God! Can I talk about how you adapt half the book?
I know. Well, it's because of the runtime, man. That's what it is. I mean, even though this movie, do we even have an official runtime?
2 hours and 35 minutes.
Yeah. See, I mean, you know that they wanted to do that. There was no way that the whole book couldn't be tackled in one movie. That's why we kept talking about why didn't they just do full on miniseries? But at the same time, it's like, but I want to see it on a big fucking IMAX screen. So
with a Hans Zimmer score. God. Oh, I've been listening to that, by the way.
Always so good. Always so good. So yeah, guys, make sure you before you guys leave, hit that like, thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Join if you want to become a member. There's also the Patreon down there too. We got some merchandise. Hey, guess what? You can get one of these Batman the Fan-imated. They're good. I've already put it through the wash. Did the wash test. Decal still great. Still feels soft. Still great. Loving it. And Scott will be getting one soon too. So go ahead and grab you guys a Batman the Fan-imated shirt down in the Film Junkie closet. All right, guys. We appreciate you guys sitting in with us for the past 47 minutes, I should say, talking Batman the Animated Series. We will definitely talk to you later.